Have you ever dreamed about completely changing your life? A better future, more freedom, more success, a different version of yourself. You imagine it clearly, and deep down, you know you're capable of more. But somehow, you still do nothing. Days pass, weeks pass, sometimes years pass, and the life you keep imagining never actually begins. Psychology says this usually isn't laziness. In many cases, your brain is actually working against you in ways you don't even realize. Because the moment you seriously think about starting something difficult, changing your life, building a project, pursuing a dream, your brain often creates negative emotions first: overwhelm, fear, self-doubt, pressure. And instead of moving toward that discomfort, your mind looks for relief. So you scroll, you overplan, you reorganize your room, you watch productivity videos, you tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, and strangely, avoiding the task feels good for a moment because your brain rewards relief. That's why some people become addicted to planning instead of acting. They confuse thinking with progress. Imagining your future can actually give your brain a small emotional reward, almost like you already accomplished something. So instead of building the life you want, you stay attached to the idea of it. And over time, this creates something dangerous: an avoidance loop. The bigger the dream becomes, the more overwhelming it feels. And the more overwhelming it feels, the more your brain escapes into distraction. That's why some of the most ambitious people procrastinate the most, not because they don't care, but because they care so much that failure feels emotionally threatening. As long as the dream stays in your mind, it stays perfect. Reality is riskier, and overthinking only makes it worse. You think about every possible outcome, every mistake, every scenario, every step, until your mind becomes exhausted before you even begin. Eventually, you stop trusting yourself. You start saying things like, maybe I'm just lazy. Maybe I'll never change. Maybe I'm not disciplined enough. Or maybe I'm just not meant for this. But the truth is, most people are not trapped because they lack potential. They're trapped because they keep waiting for motivation to finally save them. But motivation is unreliable. Psychology shows that action usually comes before motivation, not after. The people who change their lives are rarely the people who feel ready first. They're the people who learn to act while feeling uncertain. And honestly, the solution is often much smaller than people expect. Not a complete life transformation overnight, not becoming a new person tomorrow, just interrupting the avoidance loop with small action: one email, 10 minutes of work, opening the document, going outside, or just finally opening the productivity video you saved a month ago. Because once movement begins, resistance slowly loses power. And over time, your brain starts learning something new. Action is not danger. You survive it, you improve, you adapt. That's how confidence is actually built, not through motivation, not through dreaming, but through repeated proof that you can move even when you don't feel ready. At the end of the day, the people who build meaningful lives are not always the smartest, most talented, or most motivated. They're often just the people who stop waiting for the perfect moment and finally took one small step anyway. Because most lives don't change in dramatic moments. They change quietly, with small decisions, small actions, small moments where someone finally chooses movement instead of avoidance. And maybe you don't need a completely different life to begin changing yours. Maybe you just need to finally take the first step.